Hello, everyone. Welcome. Nice to see you all here. Just waiting for Mr. Extremes. I have sent him the link. So, I hope you're all doing well and getting amped up for Halloween, which is just around the corner. And I do have a video for you guys that I was actually supposed to upload yesterday, and unfortunately didn't get uploaded due to a small unforeseen circumstance with my new little niece. But I should have that out this weekend and working out on other things. There's just so much chaos in my life right now, but I'm really trying to work through it and put out content for you guys. I'm so sorry about that. Let's see. Okay, any questions in the chat so far? Thank you, Leniva and Harry, for showing up so early. You guys are amazing.
Hey there.
Hi, welcome. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, here you are. Yeah, okay. So let me make sure.
Sorry, I didn't see your message until a few minutes too late there.
Oh, it's okay. No worries. It happens. As long as the mics are working, there's no need for a mic check, right? Okay, let me take a look and make sure that this has been tweeted out. Give everybody a few minutes. How are you doing on this evening?
I'm doing well. A little tired, but I've had quite a long week at work. No big deal.
Oh my.
How about you?
I see. I'm doing well. Glad it's Friday and that the week is over. The weekend is here to enjoy, and then just trying to get in the Halloween spirit.
Yeah.
I feel like that's lacking a little bit, not just on YouTube, just in general. I feel like people are just rushing right into Christmas almost.
Yeah, I mean, I went to a store the other day and there was already a bunch of Christmas stuff coming up. So I was like, that's interesting. I live in South Florida and that usually doesn't even happen that early. I don't know what's going on this year.
Yeah, I don't know, people are trying to ignore Halloween for some reason, even though that's honestly both Halloween and Christmas are tied for me. Welcome, everybody. We are here with Mr. Extremes tonight. And let me start out by saying thank you so much for granting me this interview. I know you are a busy person.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure, and I'm honored to be here.
Oh, thank you. Let's see. Okay. So, if you don't mind, let's get started. What is the origin of your name?
My name.
Where did Mr. Extremes come from?
It's kind of let's see. It's not the most interesting story, but back in the day when I was around middle school to high school age, there was a certain technological product that I used to sell in my area, none of which I went to. I was homeschooled, but I knew a bunch of kids on the block. And I would actually kind of use them as agents to go around and find people that wanted to buy this technology that I had and I was able to produce. And that was kind of my code name, was Mr. X. So if someone was asking where was this gear coming from, the answer was Mr. X.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that takes the cake for the most interesting story behind a channel name.
It was actually a funny story. The first time I ever had to actually refer to myself that way, because I had a few people. We were kids. I had code names for everybody and agents. And one day there was a kid at another school that did not pay back my agent for the products that he'd purchased from me. So I had to go to this kid's house and knocked on his door. His mother answered the phone. His mother answered the door, and he wouldn't come to the door. I guess he was kind of afraid. I'm not the friendliest looking person, I guess.
That's awesome.
And I wanted, he owed me like $20, which in kid age time frame, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I was trying to save up to buy my PlayStation 2.
Oh.
And the lady came to the door and she said, "Are you Mr. X?" And I said,
"That's awesome."
Yes, I am. So
Mr.
that's
Extra
how
to
that's where that
collect.
came from. Yep.
That's
And I got my
awesome.
money. I
Well,
did
that's
get my
good.
money
Was
that
it was
day.
it from his mom? Did his mom pay for his debt?
I think if I recall, she made him come to the door and give me the money.
Oh, that's good. And the mom
Yeah.
had no problem that her child had purchased this product from you.
No,
Or
it
did she
wasn't.
even?
I mean, it wasn't anything like crazy.
Oh, okay. Now
I'm just
I
not
now I
gonna.
really want to know what this product is.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you after the stream.
Oh,
I
sounds
just don't
good.
want to get into any trouble.
No, I understand. Sounds good. Okay. What inspired you to make the leap from producing these products to starting a YouTube channel?
Well, that was a space of actually. First of all, hi to everybody in the chat. I see a few people speaking to me or something or another saying hi. A bunch of my old friends, some new friends in there. I tweeted this out too, so maybe a
Oh,
couple of
awesome.
people
Thank
will
you.
show up. But yeah, hello to everybody in the stream chat, and I hope you guys are having a great night. And maybe you'll learn a thing or two you might not have known about me.
That's
Um,
that's the hope that I have. That's the goal.
yeah, I went through your questions, and there's definitely several things that I'm interested in talking about that no one's ever really asked me before. So I appreciate that.
Awesome. Okay.
Um, so you said the leap from
From Mr.
being Mr.
X
X to
turning,
Mr. X
yeah,
Dreams. Yeah.
exactly.
Um, Funny enough, and I won't get too far into it, but I started the idea. I'm for years, a couple of years before I actually started on YouTube. I kind of was having this inkling that I wanted to do something on YouTube. I didn't know what, and I started getting into researching things about religions and stuff like that. So I was kind of going to start a commentary based YouTube on religious commentary and comparing and contrasting certain things. It was interesting to me, but I was struggling to find an interesting and captivating way to make a YouTube channel out of that. And
Okay.
somewhere along the lines, I stumbled upon a video from B Busta, if you've heard of him, this
Yeah.
Australian
Mhm.
guy. And I started listening to his videos on. I was always having to drive like long distances for work, and I would listen to his stories, the creepy stories and things like that. And then shortly after I found out about him, I started hearing a newer guy, smaller channel called Troubled Dreams, who's now known as Mr.
Mr.
Scarecrow.
Scarecrow, yeah, uh-huh.
And once I heard him, his voice is kind of it's a little bit more similar to mine. So I was like, man, this that works really well. And on top of that, I was thinking, you know what? I've got all these paranormal experiences myself, and my whole family has paranormal experiences that I could talk about and draw from. Not to mention the fact that I've had these dreams and nightmares throughout basically my whole life, and I didn't hear a lot of people talking about dreams and nightmares. So I decided, you know what, Mister X Dreams would be the moniker I would go under, and
And
that's
thus your channel was born.
yeah, and here we are.
Yeah, here we are. What inspired you to use, I'm going to assume that's your face as your logo. Made you decide, you know what, I'm just going to use my face versus what everybody else does and they have some sort of icon like me?
Well, I created that logo many years ago, way before YouTube was even like a legitimate thing. I mean, where the way it is now is nothing like it is now. I think I was watching Philip DeFranco and maybe a couple of other old school, YouTubers that have been on for like 10 plus years. And so YouTube had nothing to do with that. I was kind of into comics, and I saw this awesome picture of one of my favorite Marvel characters called Black Bolt, part of the
Oh,
Inhumans.
awesome.
I don't
Uh-huh.
know how much of a Marvel nerd you are, but
Somewhat.
that's he. There's this really awesome looking picture of him where the lighting is coming from above his head, and down he's kind of facing, his head is tilted kind of upward. And I took a picture of that of myself. It was like a, I was trying to kind of emulate that. And I used to use that as my profile picture for a lot of things. And then one day
Oh.
I got this idea. I got my hands on like an old copy of Photoshop, and I was like, you know what if I like digitize that and make it out of little polygons? And that's how I got the the picture, that the logo that comes on, that's on the
Yeah.
background of my videos with the
And that's
white.
also the one on the shirts, correct?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay.
That very logo I designed in my when I was living in my parents' house, sleeping on a sofa bed on an old computer with a little Wacom drawing tablet, and I was I was so proud of it. I had no idea that people in other countries would someday be wearing that on on shirts.
Yeah, that's pretty
It's
amazing, and I mean, it is a
it's
great
crazy.
design.
Thank
So,
you.
I mean, from even when you were younger, like, this was in the making already.
Oh yeah, it was destiny.
Yeah, it was meant to be. So, this next question was the one that you wanted me to elaborate on, and that's the question about your origin story. So, I originally thought that that's how I found you, was because I found an origin story for you through Unit, but I was actually mistaken, and it's part of something else. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Honestly, that feels like forever ago that I wrote that. I mean, what Unit 522, and this is going to come into play with one of the later questions. He got this awesome idea to create like a fictional universe where different narrators have characters that all go into the same like story, and I thought that was fascinating. It was a great idea. It was not no one's done it before. It was almost like the Avengers for YouTubers.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
really, really cool idea, and that's I commend him for coming up with something unique like that. He's pretty he hits pretty often with that just stuff out of left field that you wouldn't have expected from a creepypasta narrator,
Yeah.
and I
Mhm.
admire that about him. And for my story, honestly, it seems like so long ago. I don't even remember the specifics of the story itself, but I wrote it kind of after hearing some of the other stories in that universe, and there's a lot of actual. If I'd have to listen to it again, but there's a lot of truth and a lot of realism from my actual life incorporated into that like really fantastical story.
Oh, that's awesome.
So if anybody goes there, and listens to it anytime soon, you can go into it knowing that there's a lot of that elements and characters from that storyline that actually are kind of extrapolations or depictions of real life.
I'm sure that's only gonna help fuel the rumors that you're secretly a ninja or a secret agent in real life. I've seen people post that during your streams that they think you're some sort of a secret CIA agent or, some sort of ninja.
Well, I'm definitely secretive about some aspects of my life, what it is I do for a living and things like that. And I'm like that because I have to be. That's all I'll say about that.
Dun, dun, dun. No, I think, all of us are entitled to a bit of privacy, and some of us are much more open about what we do during our daily lives. And, that's not something that any of us really have to do. It's our choice. So
Mhm.
I mean, it's up to each their own, I guess. It's up to every single one of us to decide just how much we want to open up, especially with something like YouTube. I know it's not as prevalent in this genre, but in other genres, you do hear those stories where they become the true scary story, and you get that fan that won't leave you alone and stalks you. So that's why, like I said, it's up to each one of us to decide how much we want to share on here.
Right, absolutely.
Okay. And along those lines, what do you feel is the most disturbing story you've narrated for your channel?
Probably the most disturbing one was the death scene cleanup guy.
Oh,
That
yeah.
one, it was so it hit very close to home to me because I when I was younger, when I was about 13 years old, my dad was a cop, and he took me to the coroner's office to actually like sit in on an autopsy.
Oh, wow.
And while I was there were pictures of all these crazy, freaky death scenes on the wall, and like just the weirdest, most messed up, crazy looking death scenes that are, I mean, not just gore and somebody splattered or things like that, but I'm talking about a beehive on someone's head and a lady whose face was eaten off by her own cat after she
Wow.
died, like things like that. And that
Oh,
the death scene cleanup story was so visceral and so graphic that and so real that it set itself apart in my mind from, you know, the more um the harder to believe paranormal type stories that I do a lot on my channel. You know, there's really no convincing that it takes to believe like, hey, this everything in this story is what happened. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And there's no suspension of disbelief. There's no convincing anyone that the plausibility of this or the theoretical nature of spirits and all this different stuff. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah. Uh-huh.
someone died and this is what happened around their death.
Yeah.
And it was really tragic and really disturbing.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of detail in that story. Do you have a favorite video you've narrated?
Um, Probably my favorite would be my I had a series. I haven't added to it in quite a while. I think I did 4 of them, Twisted Children's Tales, and, where I would take an old nursery rhyme or a children's story and kind of weave that into a larger and decidedly more disturbing story. Um, and there's one in particular, and what I did with them is that it was always kind of a mystery, like, what was each story really based on? What world are you in when you're hearing me narrate this? Excuse me one second, I need a drink of water.
Sure, no worries. And everyone, per usual, I will address all your questions afterwards so I can give my full attention to Mr. X while I am interviewing him. So I'm not ignoring any of you.
Yeah, I promise we'll get to everybody.
Yeah.
But I I had one. I think it was part 3 of that series where I had Dr. Creepin Van Pasta, now known as Dr. Creepin Eden, and Stephanie Swan Quills, and that was my first major collaboration that I did. And they were all people that I very much looked up to and admired. I liked their content, their voices, and that was probably my favorite video because I wrote the story, I loved the story, um, and I got to work with 3 of my favorite narrators at the time. So that was probably my favorite, the one that sticks out in my mind.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's always a good feeling when you're in this community and you reach out to others to collaborate with you and they have no problem collaborating with you even though they may be bigger or they may be your favorite channel and all this. It's just such a great feeling. So I can understand why that might be your favorite video. Is there
Yeah.
anything in particular that you feel has helped your channel grow?
I think that, well, the biggest thing that contributes to that, other than, you know, just taking the time to make the best videos I can. I mean, I focus a lot on I have high standards for visual and audio quality and polish that I put on on my own videos, but I really couldn't make much of it happen if it weren't for my subscribers sending me stories in my email. So probably out of every 10 stories I get, maybe 5 of them, you know, like one in every 2 stories I can use that are at the kind of the level of intrigue and content and detail that I would use to actually make a video in the long term. So if I wasn't getting a constant stream of original content, they're basically seeds because I do write the scripts, and I'll take the interview information because I'm basically asking questions and learning as much about the back possible, getting as many details out of them as possible. Then I put that all into a cohesive story that reads like not really like a creepypasta, but like a firsthand account. And
Yeah.
that's what I end up putting as using as my script. But without that basis and that information, the experience that that person had, I have nothing other than my own experiences, which those are limited. You know what I mean?
Yeah, see, that's something that I definitely noticed right away when I found your channel is that's unique to your channel. You go to everybody else, and I'm not talking badly about anyone because I do it too, and everybody just goes to Reddit. But your stories are, oh, hello, Mr. X, this and this and this happened to me. And at first, I wasn't sure if that meant that they were fictional and you wrote them, but then as I kept listening and I, looked at the descriptions and things, I realized that these were stories that were personally sent into you, and I did get that, whole vibe that, you basically teased out, like you interviewed, like you said, the stories from a person, which I think is amazing from your channel.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I tried going to Reddit, but for some reason I cannot figure it out, and that's what started me just being like, you know what, I'm gonna stick with my own subscribers' stories, and almost every like 90% of my videos are subscriber stories. Not 90%, probably 70%.
Yeah, I've noticed that, and it's definitely appreciated. It's refreshing to have somebody who goes through this whole process to get these stories out there. Like I said, I'm not talking bad about the whole process with Reddit because I do it too, but it's nice to see that your subscribers are willing to give you this information, and you just make it into a real story because you and I both know, like you said, one out of every two stories you can go ahead and use. A lot of times subscribers send in stories that maybe there was one sentence or maybe nothing really happened, but they think
Right,
something
right.
happened. So I completely, I admire you for the fact that you managed to come up with the content that you managed to come up and that you have wonderful subscribers who are willing to share with you.
I'm so thankful for them, and I want to stress also that I don't knock anybody who uses Reddit or any other method of getting stories unless they're cheating somehow against it. It's just to me, it just doesn't work for me. I something about Reddit just I just don't like being on that site.
No,
Not
and
sure
that's
why.
totally understandable. What are your future plans for the channel? Do you have anything in mind, or are you just going to continue with what you're currently doing?
Um, I'm definitely going to continue to some extent because I've had to cut down on the content that I put out drastically to where I'm only doing like 2 videos a month nowadays. Whereas when I first started, I was at like 3 a week, and I don't even know how I was doing that. That was insane. But I am expanding on a lot of different kind of experimental genre alterations. I guess I want to. I'm working on for the longest time. I've been teasing this, but there's kind of a meditation type video that I'm working on where it's almost like a guided mental journey
Oh
that I'm
yeah,
gonna
I
be
think you
leading
said that in
people
your
on.
last stream, if I recall correctly.
I did because
It-
I'm tired of teasing people with it. I finally have it. I have it edited. I just need to do the sound design for it, and then I'll be putting it out pretty soon.
Gotcha. Okay, I look forward to hearing that. I do remember you giving the details in your last stream, and it sounds like something that's very mentally soothing. But then again, you do have that voice that works for that. So definitely
Well, I
looking
hope
forward
so.
to that. What is your process for recording and creating a video? Do you have a process or do you just throw yourself into it?
Oh, I definitely have a process, and it's part of the reason why it takes so long for me to get stuff out. But like I said, I get the email. I ask questions if necessary. I write it out. I compile all the information, write it out in a way that kind of fits my style of narration, and then sometimes I have to fill in a gap or two here or there, or write the person back and say, "Hey, what happened here? What happened there?" You know, if I have any gaps or something like that.
Hmm.
Then once I have that script all done, I record. I have a labeling system and all this stuff that I've developed over the last 2 years of doing this.
Mhm.
So then I record it. I sound effects, which I have a huge library of sound effects that I've accumulated, making all my own sound effects.
Oh, that's awesome.
I add music, then I draw the art, the background art, edit that all together, render the video, then I post it. And
Wow.
that whole process for each video, it probably takes at least maybe 3 or 4 hours of work. If and that's like for like a 10-minute video.
I can imagine. I mean, you definitely are on top of every single aspect of your videos. So, I mean, that's another thing that definitely makes your channel different from everybody else's because I have not interviewed somebody who it sounds like you painstakingly go through every single little facet of the creation process. Whereas, me personally, I don't bother too much with visuals because I feel like most people don't watch them, but you go through, the sound process and making sure the story is the way it should be. And it's I mean, it's amazing that you were putting out three videos a week, like you said, because it just sounds like it's
Yeah.
incredibly time consuming.
It is. And I could probably I mean, I sometimes think about how, like, when I'm listening to a creepypasta or if I'm listening to a narrator, most of the time I'm not watching it. I'm not sitting in front of my phone or my computer just watching the screen the whole time. But I like having some kind of visual effects going on just in case somebody looks at it. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
probably it feels silly now that I'm actually talking about it.
No, but you know what? I've actually had subscribers who have told me, I wish you did more with your visuals and didn't just use stock footage, which I was surprised at because, I kind of started out with my own channel where I did really like try to find stock footage that really set the mood for what I was reading. But then I started realizing nobody watched it. But then it was almost like a curve because then I started getting subscribers who would tell me, hey, I want more visuals. And I was actually totally surprised because I thought, most of these people listen while they're driving and stuff. But I guess
Mhm.
there's still that amount of them that, are watching while they're listening, which I think is great. I think it really, to the people that do the visuals, they're the reason. I mean, it pays off to do the visuals for them. Now that
Yeah.
we're talking about your creation process, and obviously it's evident that you're passionate about what you do, or else you wouldn't spend this much time doing it. Um, what has been your response? What keeps you motivated in the face of everything that's been going on with YouTube recently, and the adpocalypse and all of that? What keeps you going?
It's nothing more than the fact that I enjoy this more than I enjoy my actual job. That's to me, it's my hobby. It's one of many hobbies that I have, but it's the one that I enjoy doing the most and that I get the most feedback on. I mean, this I like to draw, but I don't really get thousands of people coming and talking to me about my drawing when I draw it. You know what I mean? It's kind of fun to have this interaction that comes from the hobby work that I do, which is where YouTube comes in. I make the video and I get to talk to people over the next, few weeks about what they thought about it and their personal experiences. And then I even get more stories sometimes out of that. And that
Oh,
allows me to continue doing my hobby even more. So to me, it's not about the money at all. And luckily, I'm fortunate enough to have a career that I can survive off of on without any other. So it's anything I get from YouTube is just a small, very small bonus, you know.
no, it's so basically it's its own reward is what it sounds like to you. And I
Yes.
know that feeling because that's what keeps me going through this because I don't make any money off of it. I mean, my channel's still small, but I'm going to continue no matter what size or if I make any money because doing this is its own reward. And obviously, like you said, the subscribers, they enjoy what you're putting out. So that's also its own reward. So I can definitely relate on that. you touched a little bit, and I know this wasn't one of our questions, but Carrie was actually wondering about this. Your art,
Hmm.
you're incredibly talented with your art. And I have to say, all the
Oh,
people
thank
that
you.
you've done channel art for are so fortunate because you're just so good at it. So how has your art influenced your YouTube channel in more than just, okay, I'm doing thumbnails, or I'm creating new art for my channel? Is it somehow influenced your channel in a different way?
Well, thanks so much for the compliment. Actually, your avatar earlier, and I was like, you know what? How would I draw that? I've been thinking about it. It's been kicking around in my head for quite a while, and I have a couple of ideas.
Oh,
So
sounds exciting.
just FYI, keep on the lookout for that. Maybe
Awesome.
in the future.
Looking forward
You know,
to it.
I can't make any promises on the time frame, but because I haven't had a chance to sit down and really draw for quite a while. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
honestly,
thinking
I'm
about it for
beginning to
sure.
wonder how you manage to accomplish everything you get to accomplish, because from the sound of it, your job is very time consuming and the videos are very time consuming. So I don't even know where you find the time to draw.
It's whenever I get a chance to get, because I have the art style that I have for the my channel art. It takes me about maybe 45 minutes to an hour to draw the background of my channel, the not the channel but a video.
Okay.
Every pretty much every video has a still image in the background that I drew just for that video for the most part, unless it's like a series. Hey, Dark Waters is in the stream. What's up, man?
Hello there.
Old friend of mine, one of the earliest supporters of my work, along
It's
with Let's Read.
it's always good to have those supporters that you know have been with you through the entire time, but it's a little bit, I guess, extra when it's another channel and another narrator that knows your struggle, I guess.
Oh yeah, yeah, and then it's especially, and I think we'll probably get into this a little bit later on, but Dark Waters, Let's Read, Doctor Creepin, Trouble, not Troubled Dreams anymore, but Scarecrow. Those guys are some of my most. I look up to them very much, and I've had a chance to work with all of them at this point, and it's freaking amazing. But anyway, about the art, I think that's what we were talking about, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, I kind of have it down. Sometimes, if you look closely, and I know most people don't even look at the at the video the visuals, but you could kind of tell sometimes where I kind of just didn't have much time, so I kind of rushed through it. And then there's other times where it's more detail and there's more going on in the image. But when it comes to like fan art or channel art, like I did fan art for like Unit 522
Mhm.
for um, Creeps McPasta, Creepypasta Junior. I do things like that every so often. Those, and I spend like 2-3 hours plus on the image because I want to, if I really sit down and I really feel like doing it, I'll add tons and tons of detail into a picture. So it's something I've been developing since, back when I was sleeping on the sofa bed doing my Mr. X Dreams t-shirt logo, like 15 years ago.
Gotcha.
Just been working
Yeah,
on
I
it.
mean, honestly, the fact that you can pull off those images in just a couple hours is mind-blowing to me, because it always looks like you are very intricate in your drawings. So I actually thought it would take a lot longer to come up with the drawings that you've done, but that's awesome that you're talented enough to do it in, like, just a matter of a couple hours. So
Well,
do you
thank
usually
you.
do them in one sitting, or is it usually over time?
For the stuff for my channel, that's like one sitting. I sit down and knock it out because I have to do one for every video. So I kind of use broader strokes and a little bit less detail, unless it's something that I really feel passionate about, or if it's an idea that's just way too cool, not for me not to put more effort into it. Then I'll probably take 2 or 3 sittings to do it. But sometimes I just crank it out and I'm like, yeah, not a lot of people are going to see it anyway. Let me just throw it on there. And then for the fan art stuff, where it's a legitimate art piece, um, those I'll work on those for several days at different times whenever I can.
I see. I'm sorry. I just have to point out this comment because I find it hilarious. But Axeman said most don't realize, but if you print out a drawing from Mr. Extremes, frame it, and mount it on the wall, you can actually jump into it like a level in Mario 64. That's how vivid they look. I totally agree. That's how vivid they look.
Axeman, Axeman is a good friend of mine, and he makes me laugh at some point. Anytime he shows up in the stream, he says something so outlandish
Yeah,
that it
that's
makes
him.
me
That
LOL.
that is his MO. He's very funny. But yeah. As far as you said that you already had a chance to work with, your good friends in the community, is there still a dream collaboration that you would like to do, and who would it be with?
Dream collaboration.
Yes. If you could pick any narrator in the
Hmm.
community that you haven't already collaborated with.
You know what? Honestly, there was a time where I was constantly reaching out to everyone, trying to work with them, especially when I was a much smaller channel. And other than Let's Read and Dark Waters, no large channels really wanted to work with me. Unit 522 was another one that was way larger than me. Mad Mike, those guys were the ones that ended up working with me. So the guys that were in the 300,000s right now, so there's people that were in the 300,000s that I tried to work with and who are now close to a million, and I still haven't heard from them. So I feel like I've worked with everyone that I would really love to work with, that I was honored to work with. And if anyone else wanted to work with me, I'm always happy to work with people. I work with channels that are large, channels that are small, and if I especially enjoy it if the person actually has a passion for it, for the business or the work of narration and things like that.
Yeah,
And
definitely. And I've actually been
I kind
fortunate
of
enough to, work with you. So that's proof right there that you're willing to work with the smaller channel.
well, yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge channel myself. I've always been a believer in kind of paying it forward and being supportive of people that deserve to be supported. I mean, you what you're doing right now is something that I'm not aware of any other narrators doing, and I think it's very interesting. So
Well,
you have my support,
thank
obviously,
you.
and you deserve much more support.
Thank you. I
So
really
that's
appreciate that.
part of why I'm here.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I really do appreciate it. I just try to put a spotlight on you guys, whether, the narrator is big and small, and either, try to make more people acquainted with your channel, or, or the subscribers already know you and they want to get to know you a little bit better. So
right. So I say all that to say that I don't really have a dream collaboration per se, because I've collaborated with so many of the people that I look up to, that it's really
but
a
the
moot
dream has
point.
been fulfilled for Mr.
You know,
X.
yes,
Gotcha.
it has.
Okay. If you could meet any other narrator in person in the next 12 months, who would it be and why?
Hmm. See, this one's kind of a toss up between two guys,
Okay. You can say
two
both.
guys, and all right. So Dr. Creepin, I don't know how many of you guys know him, but he's seems to be one of the coolest dudes
He really
on the planet.
does. He really does. I think
And
most of us, I'm going to say all of us here are acquainted with him. And he really does seem like one of the coolest guys.
oh yeah, and so then there's that, and he's cool in his own way. And then my good friend Dark Waters is also one of the coolest cats out there. And I would love to hang out with either one of those guys, and just I'm not a drinker or anything, but I would definitely go to a bar or something and hang out with them and just talk, exchange some stories, and just kind of hang out like that. And that would be really awesome.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, we encounter so many people in this community that sometimes I just wish that we didn't all live so far apart. Especially with me because I live in the West Coast. I feel like everybody's on the East Coast. But it would
Yeah, a
definitely
lot of them.
be cool to meet all of you guys if possible, you know?
Well, Dr. Creepin lives in like
Turkey.
Istanbul. Yeah.
Yeah. He lives in Turkey. So far away. He's an entire country, like a
Mhm.
entirely different country. Unfortunately. So, but maybe someday we'll have like some sort of convention and we'll all get to meet, and that would be really awesome.
Yeah, that I've always kind of thought of that as being, maybe one of these, maybe creeps McPasta or somebody huge like that that's actually hopefully making some money to put on something like that, and any random narrators can show up.
Yeah, that would
I
be
would
amazing
definitely go there.
if a bigger narrator did that. I completely agree. What do you feel has been the greatest achievement in regards to your channel?
Well, my what I consider my magnum opus is my story that I wrote called The Dreamer. It's like
Oh.
about a 4 hour long audiobook basically that I wrote over the course of several weeks. And that's the project that I'm the most, I don't know, it's the closest one to my heart, really. Even closer than the stories about my nightmares and my dreams and my family's paranormal experiences. This story, The Dreamer, has been in my mind for many, many years, and YouTube is the gateway that I actually finally used to and anytime somebody sends me a message saying that they enjoyed it, it just touches my heart.
Yeah,
That's
as
the one.
somebody who also writes, I know it's a really wonderful feeling when somebody writes to you and tells you that they enjoyed your story, but for you, it seems like this was a platform for this huge like project that that finding YouTube and doing your channel really gave you a chance to show it off basically to everybody else.
Right. Yeah, it's been on my mind since I was a teenager, and I'm in my 30s now. So it almost feels like a vindication of that, that I wasn't wasting my time just having this interesting idea kicking around in my head. And it's something that I actually just got up and started doing it one day, and now I did it.
And
You
now it's
know.
out there and people are appreciating. That's awesome. That's great. It's
Yeah.
very it sounds very fulfilling. Is there a
Oh, and
Sorry, go ahead.
there's something else about that, if I may.
No, go ahead.
And this is kind of embarrassing. I said this on a live stream a while back, and I'll say it here because some people might not have heard it, and well, you probably didn't hear it. But I went to when I was writing that story. Well, after I'd written it, I just got it in my head that, hey, you know what? Maybe I could turn this into an actual book and make an ebook and release that.
Mhm.
So I went to this writers conference, and they had 5 authors, popular authors, and there was a time in the conference where you could give them the first page of your you can hand in the first page of your manuscript, find a well, there would be a chance for them to possibly read it and critique it on
Uh-huh.
the spot, like right there, all 5 of them just reading it, and then, they tell you how they felt about it, if it was captured their attention or whatever. And it was one of the worst moments of my life, of my adult life, when they got they got my story, and by the second sentence they were all like scoffing and laughing at it.
Wow.
So then they basically they stopped the whole thing. They refused to continue
Wow.
reading it. They were like, yeah, this is ridiculous, this and that. It has this problem, that problem, this problem, that problem. So I said, I was the whole time, and it's kind of anonymous, so you don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody knows whose story it was. Only the person who wrote it. And I was so mortified, and I was thinking,
That's
man, this is
incredibly rude.
yeah. It was really bizarre. I was like, man, I actually paid money to go to this conference, and then that's what I got. And I said, um, I was thinking, like, man, is this really just really bad, or is it just the rules that they like to see are not the rules that I naturally abide by in my own writing? And when I did it on when I continued doing the story on YouTube, and people were saying, yeah, this was beautiful, or it made me cry, or it made me feel this way, or I loved it, or it was really good. I wasn't getting any negative comments on it. So I was like, okay, maybe it is a good story. I hope it is. But
Okay, I have to
to
ask
see that,
sorry, at
mhm,
that point, had you finished the story?
I don't think so. If I had, it was not completely. It wasn't all the way produced on YouTube yet. I'm pretty sure I had the story finished, and I was thinking about kind of rewriting it or adapting it to fit the normal literary guidelines that people like to hear, because it's written for narration. It's written for the if you know who Mr. X Dreams is, and you're going to watch a Mr. X Dreams video, this is what you expect Mr. X Dreams to say. That's kind
Gotcha.
of the way it's written, and it's not really the setup and the way the way a book or a novel for young adults would
Mhm.
normally start out.
Gotcha.
And it's just so crazy that like two sentences in, they were like totally dismissive.
That's awful. I mean, that's rude. I always stress constructive criticism, especially in this community. But the fact that
Hmm.
you went to the convention, you paid for it, and they were so dismissive after two sentences, and like you said, they were just being rude. That's amazes me. That says a lot about them. And obviously your story's good enough for us. So I'm sure that was redeeming for you that so many people have been able to listen to it and that they have enjoyed it.
Yeah, and that's another part of the reasons why whenever I see a positive comment, that experience just diminishes a little bit more in my head. It took me a while to get over that,
Yeah, I can
honestly.
only imagine. I would have been so discouraged. I may not have even finished if I would have been laughed at, publicly like that by people who, are supposed to know their craft. Like, yeah,
Hmm.
but thank God you finished. You finished anyway, because now you have your masterpiece, like you said. That's
Yeah.
awesome. What do you have a particular message that you want to get across with your channel to your subscribers?
Well, I always try to encourage positivity along with my videos, and keeping an open mind, not being too quick to judge people, and that sort of thing. I don't like leaving people with just a downtrodden outlook because of something crazy that happened in the video, especially when it's a real life thing, like a someone was kidnapped or someone was killed. Unfortunately, those things do happen, and sometimes the stories surrounding them are interesting for different purposes, but I always try to leave people with something positive at the end of the video. And if people could just treat each other, the way they would like to be treated themselves, the golden rule, which spans cultures, religions, time, society, everyone could benefit from that lesson. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's what I try to encourage in people as much as possible.
Yeah, and you know what? That's also something that definitely sets your channel apart is that positive message that you leave all of your viewers with. That was something that when I first heard it, I was, I just said, "Wow, this is different in this community," because that's not usually what we do, but it's definitely something else that's refreshing about your content.
Well, I thank you. And I mean, if you have a chance, if you have people listening to you, you might as well Give them a
Try to
little
spread,
something.
yeah, exactly. Try to spread some positivity that we lack so much in this world, unfortunately.
Right.
Do you have any advice for any new serious narrators?
Don't do it for the money. That's
Definitely don't do it for the money.
that's number one. And then don't do it for the money. Do it for the love. Do what you want to do, what you enjoy doing, and if money comes after that, then great, it's a bonus. And then on top of that, I would say don't automatically jump in and try to do what everyone else does. Try to find ways to expand the genre that you're occupying, or make your own genre if you want. And just new formats, new types of content, new angles, something different rather than, like what you're doing. You do your creepy pastas and your stories like that, but then you do interviews.
Yeah.
That's different. Unit 522 does long form episodic stories.
Yeah.
I and I was doing earlier on the same thing with my dreamer story, but this carve out something special just for you that you do. Obviously don't be too gimmicky about it, but
Yeah.
don't just fall in line, because there's thousands and thousands of people that just jump on with no editing, no effort into the video. They just read a few creepy pastas and then that's it. I don't think
Yeah.
those channels have a lot of longevity. And hey, if that's what
I
you like to do,
agree.
then do that. But that's just my opinion.
No, I agree with that. I think that's some sound advice that you're giving right now. So anybody looking to start a channel, take heed of what he just said, because those things are definitely important. Have you had any crazy fan occurrences?
Crazy. I wouldn't say crazy. I've had some, maybe one or two that if I told my 15-year-old self, it would have sent me into a coma because of how crazy it is. I mean, like not crazy that way, but it's just things that I would have never expected. Like, for example, when I put my shirts on sale on teespring.com,
Mhm.
I had one of my fans purchase one, but then she emailed me again saying, "Hey, I want to buy another shirt, but can you sign it and write a message to me
Oh,
on
that's
it?"
awesome.
So that's something that I would be, if I said, "Hey, 15-year-old Mr. X Dreams in your parents' house and you're, designing this logo, that logo one day is going to be on a shirt and someone from Canada is going to ask you to sign the shirt and write a message to them and then send them to you. Oh, and by the way, they already bought one shirt before. They want a second one just to keep with your signature on it."
Just to
It's
hang it on the
that's
wall.
yeah, to me that's crazy. I mean, it's amazing, really is the correct word for it.
It is.
And
It's
that's I was
amazing and it's
very
incredibly
flattered.
flattering. Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
flattering. See, that's a good crazy fan occurrence. I mean, it's, usually when I say crazy fan occurrences, they're negative things or they're stalkery things, but no, that's an amazing one. That's definitely a
Yeah,
first.
she didn't find me in a grocery store and follow me home or anything.
Yeah. That's good though. Okay. So, and for the most important question of the night, pie or cake?
Okay, a year ago I would have said apple pie because that's one of my favorites. But sometime within the last 12 months, I had a cookies and cream cheesecake cake, which
That's
forever
interesting.
cemented itself in my mind. Cookies and cream, anything that's flavored cookies and cream is automatically what I want.
But it's a cheesecake cake. So is it a pie
Yeah,
or
there's a
a
there's a
cake?
it's perfection is what it
It
is.
sounds like it's just both. Oh, wow.
It's a I mean, cuz I don't know if a cheesecake qualifies as a pie, but it was
I
basically,
usually think it's a pie because it has that crust. So that's why I'd be torn to see if I could classify it one over the
Yeah,
other. You get both, so it doesn't really matter.
maybe.
You
So,
kind of
well,
cheated on
this
the
is what it
question.
was. It was a piece of chocolate, like a layer of chocolate cake, then a thin layer of cookies and cream cheesecake as basically the filling of the cake, and then another layer of chocolate cake. So it wasn't like a whole cheesecake in the middle of a cake. It was
Okay.
when normally you would have buttercream icing or strawberry or pineapple or something in the middle of the cake.
Uh-huh.
Rather than that, it was like a generous layer of cookies and cream cheesecake.
Nice. Very nice. I have to go
It was
find this
so
somewhere.
good.
Sounds like a dream.
I don't think you'll find it anywhere. I had it specially made by request.
Oh.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and it was by
I'm
a
on a quest
very, very
now.
talented chef.
I'm on a quest now. Let's see.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
hi,
hey,
DeBerg.
you
He
now
wants
know
you
how to
to
do it.
know. Oh, I'll find a recipe. Maybe I'll just do that because I do bake. Let's see if I can duplicate
Hey,
it.
if you bake, you can. I'm sure if you bake things that are delicious normally, you'll surprise yourself, guaranteed.
I guess we shall
It's you're not
see.
gonna you don't know how delicious of a thing you're capable of creating through the art of baking.
I will say this, if I manage to do it, I will post pictures because I mean, I post pictures of food all the time because I'm kind of a foodie. So
Please do.
I will post pictures. All right, and now time for the chat questions. I believe there are some good ones here. Let's see.
Right on.
Corrupted Playground. He actually did address that earlier in the interview as far as his process for creating videos. Dave said, "Have you ever written any creepy short stories? True or not?" Yeah, he definitely has those on his channel. If so,
Oh
when
yeah.
did you write the first one? What was it about?
The first creepy story I wrote,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think the first one that I wrote that I can recall was about shadow people
Ooh.
because I had my own personal experiences with shadow people growing up, and it's something that I believe maybe I inherited from my mother's side because she and all of her siblings have also had experiences with those entities, and I wrote the story based on my interview with her and her siblings, and that was the first one I believe was the first one that I did all extensive sound work and sound effects, and I changed the different musical elements in the background and ambient noise and stuff like that, and there was some pretty haunting stuff. There was my I remember my mom. It's weird because now if you ask her now, she'll say that that didn't happen. I guess she's
Mm-hmm.
a lot more skeptical of those things, but I know that when they used to tell us these stories, they were not fooling around. They did believe it at the time, but
Yeah.
now they kind of just have d- talked themselves out of believing it. My mom only. Her siblings to this day will tell you that that did happen. For some reason, she no longer believes it. But
Interesting.
they used to live in Jamaica, and they were on a 2-floor house. The second floor window is where their room was, and there was a tree that was in their backyard, and they lived out kind of in the countryside. And it was this big tree, and they would see these little shadows shaped like children playing around on the
Ooh.
ground, and some of them sitting in the tree. And the shadow children would be trying to convince them to come out the window.
Wow.
And there was really, if they were to come out the window, they would have just fallen and injured themselves or died.
Yeah.
They were little kids. They can't just go through a sheer drop from a second story window
Mm-hmm.
and just be totally fine. It was, and who knows what would have happened to them if they actually did try that. But
Yeah.
that was one of many situations that they found themselves in with these mysterious shadow-like entities.
Yeah, shadow people are definitely scary. Actually, the only real ghost encounter that I've had was with a shadow person, and it's just, it's I mean, it's the only one I've ever had, but I think I'd definitely feel different if it was like the ghost of what looked like a person versus this shadow being. There's just
Mm,
something so dark about them. I mean, not to that sounded dumb, but there's just something very creepy, like extra creepy about them, in my opinion. It was not a pleasant
mm,
experience to encounter it. That much I will say.
Maybe you can share that with me, and it can go in my Shadow People Part 7
I
because
would
I
happily
think I
do
got
that.
6 of those.
I will happily share. I'm not sure that there's much content to it, but I'll tell you what happened, and maybe you can decide whether it's worth telling or not.
Okay.
Robin wants to know if you believe in aliens.
I do believe that aliens are it's a possibility. I had a in my first live stream ever, I told a story that of something that happened to me when I was a kid that I believe might have involved aliens.
No.
And it's kind of a it's too long of a story for tonight, but it's I think I'm not sure if I've actually said it like written a story and had it as a standalone video, but if I haven't, I'm definitely going to make a point to do that because it's I'd like to have that story out there for people to so I could direct people to that video, you know what I mean, instead of
Yeah,
having to tell
no.
the whole story again.
No, I understand. Yeah, and I mean, especially because you said it was a long one, I think it would make for a good standalone video on your channel.
Yeah. I think
Carrie's
Robin had
oh,
asked me another
oh,
question
sure, go ahead.
before, real quick, because well, while it's on my mind, said Robin Hood said, "Will I be doing more dream stories?" And I guess I don't know. Maybe you follow me on Twitter because I did mention twice or 2 or 3 times in the past couple of months. I've been having some crazy dreams. I don't know why, and it's been a couple of years or not a couple of years, maybe a year since I really was having consistent lucid or vivid dreams that were really interesting or really scary. And I just had one the other night that was so scary that I had to as soon as I got up, I started feverishly typing on my phone all the details I could remember before they faded away. And it was yet another dream in which I actually died. So that's um that's definitely going to be elaborated on at some point in the near future. Just so you know. Thanks for asking that question.
Looking forward to that. I always get excited when I see a new video from you, especially because I know that you can't do them too often, or when you're doing a live stream, because like,
Oh, thanks.
I know you don't often have the time for them. Let's see, what else? There's another question. Oh, Carrie wanted to know if anyone's ever recognized you through your voice.
No, I am not. Well, I'm definitely not popular enough on YouTube for people to randomly run into me while I happen to be talking. You know,
Gotcha.
that's not I'm not there yet for sure. But if anybody ever did come up to me, I'd probably just I mean I'm a black guy myself, but I would still somehow blush so hard. It would be
Would you own
it
up
would
to
be
it though?
amazing. I would. I would own up to it, but I would also give them a very cryptic and the some type of I don't want to say threat, but I would make it very clear that they are not to
Divulge your
reveal,
location.
my exact location or my image or anything.
Okay,
You know,
gotcha.
I have a way in character to convince people to not upset me in that way.
I'm sure you're very persuasive. I believe it. Gotcha. Okay, let's see. Oh, DeBerg said, "Love your videos, Mr. X. Keep up the good work."
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I sure will.
Let's see. Oh, welcome, Marcos. I'm glad you can make it. Let's see. Gray Roses said, Mr. Extremes, when did you find your confidence or feeling that you could work in narration? God, clumsy question. What I mean is, did someone encourage your speaking abilities at some time?
Oh snap! You got a super chat there. Do you see
Oh,
that?
let's take a look. Thank you, Empoleon. Margbot, would it be awesome if you had your own merchandise, shirts, hats, etc.? I want a shirt that says "Be hot like Margbot." Hope you have an amazing weekend. Thank you so much, Empoleon. You're always so generous during my live streams. I really appreciate it. I will address that question in a bit. Let's see. Okay, but back to the question from Gray Roses.
So what gave me my confidence?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I was at the doctor one day, and I was getting on an elevator going down. I was just done with my appointment, and this older guy said to me, "Hey, he heard me talking to someone. I was standing nearby, and he said, "You know what? You should be on the radio." This old guy, probably in his 60s. He's not that old, but he's much older than me. And he said, yeah, he said he was a old radio guy himself, and he used to do work on this network, and he used to do this and do that, and that was, he's retired now, but he knows radio talent when he hears it, and that I should be on the radio. And I was like, wow, thanks a lot. That's very nice of you. But and he actually gave me his contact information and said that he was going to, put me in contact with some of his industry people that he knows. And I ended up reaching out to him a couple of times, and he never got back to me. But just him saying that kind of is the first thing that really spurred me into thinking, you know what, I think maybe I should just sit down and record myself and see how it sounds, and see if I can actually talk and make sense, especially off the cuff, without a script. And that's something to this day I still try to train myself with. But
Wow.
I think that was the first time I really decided to legitimately test my skills with that.
Gotcha. That's a good story. I mean, you obviously have the voice for it. It just needed to be put out there. Somebody needed to encourage it somehow.
Oh, thank you.
Carrie said Mr. Extreme was Mr. Extreme's orders from McDonald's. He pulls up and I'm like, "Are you Mr. Extremes? Can you sign my napkin?" Carrie's always so funny. Let's
Wait,
see.
is Carrie saying that she works at McDonald's?
Potentially. I think that she just gave
Because
away her location.
I haven't been to McDonald's in like 6 years, but I will go to McDonald's and sign your napkin if you're there.
That's awesome. There you go, Carrie. Let's see. Dr. Blue said, "I love watching Margbot's streams. Got to meet new people. To be honest, I didn't know about Mr. X, but happy I was here to listen." Awesome. Glad I could introduce you to someone new. Let's see.
Oh, thank you. And thanks for subscribing as well, Dr. Blue. I saw you mentioned that. Welcome.
I'm sure you'll enjoy his content. Okay. All right, then, guys, that concludes the interview portion. And I guess we're just going to hang out for a little bit. Back to answer the question from Empoleon. I will have merchandise eventually. I have a design in mind. It just hasn't come to fruition yet. And honestly, I think I'm still a little bit too small to have merchandise, but maybe by the beginning of next year, I will put something out because I have had a few people ask me. Now, as for the donations, I don't know how many of you saw that I posted on Twitter that any super chat donations that came through from this stream, I'm actually going to donate to a GoFundMe for a good college friend of mine. Her name is Taylor. She has now lost everything for the second time in her life thanks to California fires. So, this is my small way of helping her. So I did make that public on Twitter, just FYI, for Empoleon, who has so graciously donated, and who I also saw he directly donated to her actual GoFundMe. So thank you so much, Empoleon, for that. I really appreciate it. And to everybody who retweeted the GoFundMe that I posted, thank you so, so much. She really is a kind soul. and I'm just so sad to see her go through this again in her life.
Good
Okay.
form. Nicely done.
Thank you. All right, let's see. Oh, hey, Goblin, welcome. I'm so glad that the Chinese are not keeping you away from us. For those of you who do not know Creepypasta Goblin, he's actually a narrator who is narrating out of China, and the Chinese are not always very nice with their internet, so sometimes he does let us know that he may go dark.
Hmm.
So what are you doing for Halloween, Mr. X? Or are you doing anything?
I don't know. I usually don't do anything, but I don't know. I feel like this year I might go out and see what's happening around town. I haven't even purchased any candy yet because usually a lot of kids come to my house. Sometimes I dress up in my last year, okay, self as an even bigger nerd than anyone already thought I was. But I spent months last year building a Green Lantern armor cosplay.
Oh my God. I wish you would post pictures of that. That's awesome.
I I think I did a long time ago, but then I was thinking ahead a little bit and I was like, you know what? I might not want this to be visible to everyone because it had my face in it and everything, but I was just so proud of it that I just posted it. And it is online. It's online somewhere as a because I was in a competition briefly. So I appeared for like 2 seconds in a video, like a montage video online.
Did you win?
But
Please tell me you won.
no, somebody came in a full like a Gundam Wing Zero custom,
Oh,
like
yeah.
a 10 foot tall one, and everybody knew that guy was winning,
That's
and he did win.
amazing.
But
That's some dedication.
so what happened last year was I put on the suit and I opened the door. It's got like a glowing, chest piece with the Green Lantern logo. Green Lantern's my favorite superhero, and I had the full suit on pretty much, and answer the door, and people are like, "Oh wow, well, that's so cool," and I'm like, "All right, hey, thanks." Then several minutes go by, and I'm like, "All right." I take a part of the suit off, some of the armor off, and I come back to the door. The next time, I have like half the suit on, and it just continued that way until basically I just had the chest piece on and nothing else. Like, just regular clothes otherwise.
Ah,
So
gotcha.
it got. I guess I just got tired of sitting around my house normally watching TV in a dress as the Green Lantern.
You just weren't feeling your Green Lantern self there for too
Yeah,
long.
yeah. I mean, it's one thing if you're walking around the floor of a con and people are taking pictures with you and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
if I'm just sitting in my living room playing video games or watching TV, it's kind of lame.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it gets cumbersome after a while too.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's understandable, but that's awesome. I mean, I I it's been a while since I've lived somewhere where kids knock and I hand out candy, but I always love seeing all the little ones especially in all their dressed up costumes. And then sometimes you'll get those
Hmm.
parents who really go above and beyond and you have like this toddler in this really decked out, costume, and that's always the best, honestly.
Yep, that decked out costume that's going to be totally obsolete like in 6 months
Exactly.
because the
Not even
kid's
that,
going to
probably
be
like
twice the
2.
size. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But you know that parent is committed, okay?
Oh yeah.
So
You got to respect that. Got some more.
definitely.
Got some more donations there.
Yeah, shout out to Tall Tale TV for the $5 donation, and he also has an amazing channel. So if you guys haven't checked him out, please do.
Mm.
And he's actually a really awesome dude too. But thank you guys to everyone who's donating. Empoleon again, thank you so much, Empoleon. Sending your friend positive vibes, Margbot. I would like to meet you at a future convention. I've had a few people tell me they want to meet me at a convention, and if I ever do go, guys, I will certainly let you guys know because I'd love to meet all of you too. Sir Kane, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I know we're not wealthy, and the fact that you guys are even donating at all, like whether it be like a buck or like 20, it means a lot. And I will certainly let you guys know that you guys are sending her positive vibes. So thank you so much for that. Let's see. Bye, Empoleon. Have a good evening. Let's
Have a
see.
good night, my friend.
Okay. Carrie said, I'm intimidated by Marg. She's too cool. I'm not worthy. Do not be intimidated by me. I'm 5 feet tall. Okay. I'm pretty short. So I
5 foot even.
intimidate no one. Yes, 5 foot even.
Hmm.
um, People are usually surprised when I say that. Not just because I'm short, but I guess my personality doesn't seem to match that of a 5 foot woman.
Yeah.
uh,
Well, I mean, yeah, you're not. I expect the smaller. Maybe this is me watching Peter Pan too much when I was a kid, but I just expect the smaller a person is, the more easy it is for them to be dominated by a single emotion.
hmm
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so if you're tiny, you just there's some Peter Pan related memory that I have that makes me think this way. I can't remember what it was. It might have been from Hook. But they said that the like Tinkerbell is so small she only has room for one emotion at a
hmm
time. So
Yeah.
I just naturally think that like if if a person's tiny, because I'm 6'4",
Oh, wow.
so if a person's like tiny to me, I just it's so cute, and I'm like, you know, they probably just can get overwhelmed with any random emotion that they happen to be having. It's adorable. I don't know. You guys are like baby dolls to me.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a firecracker, to be honest. So I guess that's kind of true.
There you go. And
Oh
I
my
know
gosh.
several people like that.
Yeah, I think it goes with the height. I feel like we have bigger personalities than fitness. So I think
Mhm.
that whole thing from Peter Pan definitely it's true. Let's see.
Well, first Rufio reference I've seen in a long, long time. Thank you, Carrie.
It's true. It has been
If you
a
haven't
while.
seen Hook, if you haven't seen Hook, you've got to see it. It's so good. As watch it as an adult. When I was a kid, I saw it and I did not appreciate it enough. If you watch it now as an adult, I guarantee you're going to love it.
I haven't seen it in a few years. I should definitely check it out now that I'm older and see how I feel about it now.
Yeah, it's like a whole different movie.
Okay, Goblin. He said, "OMG, Marg is an Oompa Loompa. I'm not orange and I don't have green hair, but I'd rather be called a Keebler than an Oompa Loompa. Thanks."
There's a little bit more
uh,
dignity in the Keebler elf
yeah, definitely.
thing.
They're hardworking folk and they aren't as funny looking. So I'd rather be a Keebler elf. Also, guys, I know I see this every stream, but Sir Kane also has an amazing channel. So definitely check her out. I'm still trying to talk her into to letting me interview her. She's a tough cookie there. She won't say yes, but I will get her to say yes someday. Let's see. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, did I miss anything else? I know that Axeman was going on all sorts of funny. Let's
Yeah,
see.
he was doing his thing.
He said this story does have a happy ending. Every last one of them died of mysterious circumstances, and he was talking about the guys who read your story. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I see one. Oh, wow, I'm seeing a lot of comments that I did not notice as it was happening. Um, Someone asked, well, Sir Kane Narrations asked, what was my favorite drink while recording? That would be water, because anything else will make my voice sound strange, I think, especially anything with sugar in it. And I've never tried drinking anything alcoholic while recording, so I can't imagine that being beneficial to me.
Definitely. I don't think it's beneficial for anybody.
Mhm.
Oh, look. Carrie also said, I don't know if this is too much, but where is Mr. Extremes from and how old is he? He said 30s. 30 what? Is he married with kids? What kind of music does he like? What is your address, Mr. Extreme? She wants your phone number.
Well, Carrie, I'll tell you this. Just tell me which McDonald's you're applying at, and when you get the job, I will show up there.
Oh my goodness. Hey, there's commitment in that, Carrie. You should take it and run with it. Shell said, Mr. X, are you still accepting stories from viewers? Wow, where did we miss all these questions? I didn't see these.
Exactly. That I could have sworn I was kind of following on most of these,
Yeah,
but
I don't know. I feel like they kind of just popped up like I don't even know when.
shells. Am I still accepting stories from viewers? Of course, always. And do I have see-through curtains on my house? Um, I don't, but I have. What I do have are those extra thick, like insulating thermal light destroying curtains on every single window in my house, and that's not a joke. I don't know why I did that, but at some point I thought that that was the best thing to do. So I have them on every single window in my house, pretty much.
Wow.
So yeah,
Okay.
it's I don't know. Maybe I thought it would save on my air conditioning or something. I don't know.
Perhaps. Especially in South Florida. Oh God.
Yeah, yeah, it keeps the sun out. Yeah, and it doesn't heat up my house and everything. So that's good.
Yeah. Dave said, "Do you believe in the myths of a goat man? He's big here in Maryland." And maybe not so much of a cross
Hmm.
between a goat and a man, but the legend was created based off of a creepy murder and not just made up a story. Not just a made up story.
Right. I heard that story several times, and honestly, when I talk about being open minded, there's I'm of the belief that what we know about this world and the universe is so minuscule. There's so much more to existence than we could possibly fathom as we are right now. That to say something is not possible or to say something is bogus or just write it off as being crazy, that's kind of it's arrogant to me. Being if I was to say, yeah, there's no way in hell that a goat man could possibly exist, that just means that I assume that I know the answers. That I know that I've investigated enough or that I've experienced enough to be able to definitively say something like that. And that to me is the height of hubris. I would never say that. So I don't necessarily believe that it does exist, but you won't catch me saying that there's no way it exists, you know?
Yeah, I think it's very close minded to just assume that something definitely 100% does not exist. So
Right.
I get what you're saying. Let's see. Did we miss anything else? Okay, no, I
Hey,
think we bridged that gap. Sorry.
what do you have in mind for merchandise if you were to go down that route? I was just wondering.
As far as what products with my logo you mean, or
Yeah.
um, definitely shirts, maybe a
Hmm.
mug. I don't know, other than shirts and a mug, probably stickers or a patch. I saw that somebody was requesting a patch. I think it was Carrie. Um,
Oh, that'd be cool.
that'd be pretty cool. I don't know. I mean, I haven't really thought about anything other than the conventional shirts, to be honest with you. So yeah, probably shirts, stickers. Um, I mean, I don't think my Margbot character is cool enough to warrant a poster, but if people really wanted posters, then I guess, a poster. Um, once I release the origin story to Margbot, whenever my life settles down from adulting, then maybe she'll be cool enough for that, but not quite yet.
Okay. Well, that
What?
sounds like a good plan. I mean, who knows? Maybe you'll get some more artwork to choose from in the coming days.
Hopefully. It's exciting to see, what people come up with. I love getting artwork. It's amazing. And you know what? It just randomly happens and it's great because it's like a surprise during my day and it totally makes my day. Let's see. Hitch
Okay.
said, I think Mr. X could be a scary ass cop. You tell him you put your hands up. Me, holy fucking shit. Yes. Okay.
That's
Uh,
that is a thing that I've said before.
put your hands up. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You're
I've
a secret
I've
agent. We're
found
just going to
myself
assume
I've
that.
found myself in those types of situations, you know.
I bet. Because you're a secret agent and secret agents, end up in those situations. Carrie said, wait, before you guys go, can Mr. X Streams tell us his favorite bands?
My favorite bands.
Mhm.
Um well, let me see here. I have kind of a wide breadth of music. Whenever I don't really like any bands really. I per se I guess, music groups or individuals. Like I like a lot of old school New York hip hop music. You know, Most Def, Talib Kweli. I like this group called Bonobo, which is a total departure from New York hip hop. It's just this really relaxing, rhythmic, percussion type music, and sometimes this is really ethereal singing, voices and things like that. If anybody, if you look up Bonobo on YouTube, it's the music. I guarantee you, it will chill you out. Whatever you're doing, it'll help. And let me see. I like some classic rock a little bit. Um, Kenny Loggins' "Highway to the Danger Zone"
Oh, wow. That really is a
is
classic.
one of my all-time favorite songs. But I also like, Sir Mix-a-Lot. I like Big Butts. That's
That's great. That's gold right there.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
that's like one of the greatest songs of all time. I don't
right?
think
It's so
anybody here would
true.
would argue that.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Blue, so much for stopping by. So glad I could introduce you to someone new. I really appreciate it and have a lovely evening and weekend. Let's see. Shell
Hmm.
said, has anyone besides me ever asked you for your DNA?
Yes, actually, Shells. And wait, let me say something. Shells is one of like the two or three very earliest supporters of mine that I can remember. And I'm so grateful. She's been through so much, and we've spoken so many times. Shells is a boss. I just want everybody to know that. And I love all you guys, but Shells and I go way back. I just wanted to acknowledge her for that because
You know, I'm I'm just gonna say that Shells is actually like a lot of people's earliest followers. She found me before I ever. So one of the
hmm
biggest ways that I
I don't
promoted
know how
my
she
channel.
does it. I
Yeah,
don't know how she does
exactly.
it.
I wasn't even on Twitter and she found my channel and she's been supporting me ever since, I don't know, I'm gonna say 10 subscribers. And I
Hmm.
don't know how she finds us. She just does. She's kind of magic that way.
Yep.
Let's see. Hmm. Phantom of Darkness, I think, was shouting at the top of his lungs to get your attention. Yeah, Mr. X, my man. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, man? Another old friend of mine.
Let's see.
Someone asked me where I'm from. I was actually born in Queens, New York, but I think when I was about 8 years old, my parents moved us to South Florida, and I've been there ever since, with the exception of the uh, several years when I was away at the military, and then when I transitioned over into my current career field. So that's where I'm from.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up for tonight. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in, and thank you so much, Mr. Extremes, for allowing me to interview you. I definitely know you a little bit better now, and I hope the folks watching do too. I could certainly tell that you are very passionate about what you do, because you're on top of every single aspect of it. So that's a great feeling to know that that's whatever narrator I interview, that their heart is actually into it, which I could already tell from your channel, but we just got, I guess, proof of it now that you told us a little bit about your behind the scenes process.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was very much a fun time, and I enjoyed every bit of it. Thanks to all you guys in the chat for your donations to Margbot's
D-
friend,
yeah,
and for
definitely. Thank
hanging
you
out
so
with
much,
us.
guys.
It
Yeah.
was really great.
Yeah, thank you for spending your Friday evening, guys, with me. And next week, I will actually have Mr. Scarecrow on. So,
Oh snap!
yeah, oh snap. So tune in for that, guys. I mean, technically, it's not Halloween, but it's Halloween weekend. So tune in as I interview Mr. Scarecrow. Um, who hopefully his job won't intervene because I know his job gets in the way of stuff. But yeah, so I will see you next Friday at the same time on the same channel. And I hope you all have a lovely weekend and are really feeling the Halloween spirit. So Margbot out.